chain tools. This is what's called a pin puller for unhooking a fifth wheel. When the trailer's hooked up, you hook it on. You can use it to pull it so you don't have to reach in. But it's a very, very, very handy tool for putting tire chains on. As you'll see in a minute, it keeps you from having to lay on the ground and climb all around on the ground and do this. Your other very important tool is what is called your cam lock tool and also your chain lock tool. You find a lot of these on the ground in chain up areas because one thing guys do a lot, they grab their tool out. We're doing this on a nice concrete floor. It's kind of not real true, but they'll drop this on the ground and you got this much snow, that tool is gone.
It's gone.
Yeah. So I always recommend to the guys when they get their start getting ready to chain up and they get their tool out, that when they're getting ready to put their chains on, that they set it in their wheel. That way it's right there, there's no snow in there or anything, they don't lose it on the ground. I also recommend keeping several of these in your truck because they are easy to lose. There's several different kinds of chain tools. Some of them have a T handle on them, some of them are just the L handle. My preference is the L handle and it's just a little easier for me. Another tool that I like to use, and a lot of guys don't like to use them, I like these latex gloves for chaining up. They're $5.99 at Walmart or wherever, quite cheap. They keep your hands dry when you're chaining up. They also insulate your hands, and also when you're done, you take them off, your hands are clean when you get in your truck. You don't have all that muck. Leather gloves are great, but as soon as they get wet, they just turn to mush. And you can't, your fingers don't work, your fingers get real cold. So I use latex gloves. They go on real easy. You do the powdered or the non-powdered, and they're cheap, they're just throwaway. But then you can also put your leather gloves on with these and keeps your hands dry. You can still use your leather gloves to do all your stuff. Most trucks all have a chain rack on them for hanging chains, which is on the opposite side of this truck. It's just a couple of loops on the front of the truck here with the chains hanging. It's very important when you're putting your tire chains in your rack that you take your time and put them on, because if you just throw them on there, they get tied in knots, and then when the weather's really bad, you're trying to take them off. It's just a lot better if you don't have them tied in a knot. Once you get your tire chains taken off, I've already chained up all of the axles legally on this truck except one, what the law requires. Get your tire chain brought over, get it all laid out, make sure it's not tangled, make sure it's not any knots, make sure that your cam locks, which are a very important item, are all undone and straight. Tire chains are 6 inches longer on the cam lock side of a tire than they are on a non-cam lock side of a tire. So this side of the tire chain is shorter by 6 inches than that side of the tire chain is. This tire chain here is an older tire chain. It's been repaired before. Tire chains are extremely expensive, so we elect here to repair ours as often as we can.
Save money.
These sets of tire chains of this style with the hook locks and everything on them, nowadays are about $160 a set. So when you buy a bag of chains, it's got 2 chains in them. Yes, we repair them a lot to not just save money, but an older tire chain is a much nicer chain to use. Is a much nicer chain to use because a brand new tire chain, when the chains are new, they stretch. And they're only new once. So they may be pretty the first time out of the bag, but they're only good for once. So a used chain does tighten up better, it does operate a lot better. Once you have your chain laid out and it's all nice and straight, grab your tire chain about in the center, bring it up, lay it on the middle of your tire. Make sure you have it laid out straight. No kinks or ties in it or anything. Once again, make sure that all your cam locks are straight and clean, nothing twisted, no chains twisted. Make sure your chain is centered on your tire. Once you've got your chains all centered on your tire, then I like to use my pin puller and come through my tire to the other end. Come around here. Grab my first link of the inside tire chain, hook it onto the hook, slide it back a little bit, then grab about a quarter of my tire chain and move it over to the middle. It won't fall off, but if you move it over to the middle, you can then come back here, grab your pin puller, slide it through your tire so your chain comes out. It's a lot easier to work with. You don't have to climb and lay down on the ground. Now this is an older chain, but this is a newer tire. So I'm going to hook into the first link of the tire chain, but I'm going to come back here and hook into the third link. And by hooking into that third link, that ties the other link in so it's not beating on the ground when you're going down the road, and it'll hold it in place. And I'll come back around, get my tire chain, pull it back around the front of the tire. I need to go back, I went a little too tight on there. Back, and put this one in one more left. Pull it around. Make sure I'm straight and even again. Grab my hook. Grab my two chains. Give it a couple of real good tugs. Pull it in and see where I can hook my cam lock. This one here, I can hook comfortably into there. So I'll hook my cam lock. And then I'll take my extra chain and I'll hook it in that cam lock. That way I have no chain to beat on the ground. I'll take my lock, move it in just a little bit, take my chain cam tool, hook it in, lock my chain cam. For the most part now, my chain's fairly tight. You go from your cam to look at your closest cam lock. The closest cam lock will be this one. Lock your chain. That's pretty doggone tight now. I'll come around to the next cam lock from the bottom, and I'll do one more. If you do those right, all of these cams are already tight. You should not be able to do another one. After you get all your chains on, one on the outside here, one on the outside there, outside, inside, inside, and outside, you're legally chained up now for the tractor. Now on the trailer, it requires what is called one drag chain. So if we had a trailer on here, you would take and put one tire chain on your trailer for the state of Washington, California, and Idaho. But if you're in the state of Oregon, Oregon requires two tire chains. So you have to put what's called the drag chain on one trailer axle on the passenger side, one chain on the driver's side. That's a driver's preference of what axle they put them on. But That is a legal chain up. How to put tire chains on legally. The specifications of Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and California.